This is a financial sustainability class on fitting fundraising into your life. You know, many leaders see fundraising as a concentrated activity that one embarks on 3 to 6 months before their money runs out. For most, this is a recipe for failure. Raising money is not a series of business transactions, but a process of engaging and developing relationships. People give when they are asked by those they trust. Because building trust takes time, fundraising needs to be an ongoing activity that is pursued on a regular basis. Leaders in the 1001 movement are fortunate that there are grant money available to get a community started. However, these grants are not meant to be the funding that sustains a community. But as this diagram shows, they exist to give one a runway toward raising funds. Fundraising is as much a part of ministry as canvassing a neighborhood or discipling a new follower. In fact, fundraising itself is a basic form of discipleship. Because it is a task that needs to happen with regularity, it should be included in the day-to-day discipline that ministry requires. One way to do this, particularly in the beginning stages of a new community, is to dedicate a day each week or allocate 20% of ministry time to the task. So what does one do during the hours allocated to fundraising? That requires a plan. A leader needs a plan that ensures that fundraising activities show up on the calendar and keep the process moving. To develop that plan, a leader needs a team and some concentrated time. A team because it is difficult to sustain these activities alone. Time together because that is how the best ideas are formed and executed. The approach I suggest is to gather the leadership team together for several concentrated days during the early stages of the new worshiping community and prepare the resources you will need throughout the year. The basic resources are as follows. First, identify those on the financial development team. This is usually the new worshiping community leadership team. It's difficult to sustain the fundraising effort when doing it alone. It takes a team to create a case for support, to brainstorm contacts, rehearse phone calls and presentations, encourage one another, and absorb disappointments. Ministry, which fundraising definitely is, should not be done alone. Do it as a team. Draft a case statement, which includes a community identity, mission, and story of the new worshiping community. You may have a head start on this if your team has worked through the Starting New Worshiping Communities Discernment Guide. In a case statement, you state clearly and briefly who you are as a community, what your mission is, the neighborhood or group on which you are focused, what problem you see, the solution you propose, what your solution costs, and how you want your prospects to get involved. Next, decide on a budget and tie it into mission. This is called a narrative budget. You probably know about budgets with line items such as salary, rent, utilities, office expense, etc. This is an operational budget. You start with one of those. But for mission interpretation purposes, you need a narrative budget in which the operational expenses are divided and allocated to ministry categories such as community service, community gatherings, worship, community development, or other active ministry activities. This budget ties dollars to ministry, helping people see the direct connection between their gifts and ministry impact. It also minimizes the perception that fundraising is primarily for the purpose of paying a leader a salary. Next, make a personal financial commitment to the new worshiping community. Before beginning to fundraise, the leader and the members of the leadership team must first make their financial commitment. Leaders can't, with integrity, ask others to give unless they have made a commitment. Making a commitment together can unleash a great movement of enthusiasm among the financial development team. Next, identify both internal and external potential prospects. First, make a plan to meet with and get to know those at the local presbytery. Presbytery leaders are key, not just for potential financial support, but for the credibility they can lend you and your community. Then consider one or more churches with which the community has or would like to have a partnership. Establishing and cultivating a relationship with a pastor of a supportive congregation is one of the most promising ways that a new worshiping community gains and retains financial support. Next, prospects may be found in the network of people who surround members of the community, people who believe in the participants and what they are doing. The primary network is that of the leader, her family, close friends, churches and church connections, Facebook and Instagram contacts, supportive businesses, and others who may be interested in supporting the community. The best way to stimulate thinking about one's network is in a brainstorming session with the leadership team. There is something about doing this as a group that generates far more potential leads. An excellent tool to use to prompt response as you brainstorm for prospects is the Ministry to Donors Brainstorming for Partners form, which breaks the task up into different aspects of one's life through which relationships have been established. Evaluate and prioritize prospects. Once prospects have been identified, the group can evaluate, prioritize, gather contact information, and track progress toward reaching them using the Ministry to Donors Potential Support Partners form. On this chart, you place prospects in priority order with their contact information, your planned action, and the response you receive. This form is critical in keeping you informed as to the next step that you need to take in fundraising. By allowing leaders to track progress toward contacting, meeting, and follow-up with each prospect, this form allows the task of fundraising to be integrated with all the other priorities of community building. Next, draft a release for email, postal mail, Facebook, and Instagram to announce your intentions. Using the case statement elements as a guide, write a story about the existence of your community, its identity, your mission, the community of focus, the problem, your solution, and the invitation for readers to join you. To the extent possible, make sure everybody who you want to approach for support sees it. Next, create a fundraising presentation. Using the case statement, budget, story, and ask amount. Build the presentation around the story of transformation of one person or family. The Ministry to Donors Presenting and Asking template is a good guide to use to create your presentation. Next, schedule regular time in your week for fundraising activities, during which time you will call prospects for appointments, go on appointments to present the story and listen for residents, invite people to give, do follow-up activities such as thank you notes, write updates or invite donors to visit and experience the community, and coach your leaders as they do many of these same things. Once you can clearly state your identity and mission, have a narrative budget, have a story to tell, know who to contact, and have made a personal financial commitment, you can pursue fundraising within your schedule on an ongoing basis. And don't forget to divide up the work. Some of the team may be better at writing, others at research, others in doing presentations. Keeping fundraising a team sport will keep the people focused and enthusiastic about this essential ministry. The tools, forms, and templates cited in this presentation can all be found on the 1001 resource page, newchurchnewway.org. Go to Resources, New Worshiping Community online classes, Financial Sustainability to find fitting fundraising into your life. May God go with you.